Hello friends, let's have a second class onto the mapwork. This is an assortment of the concepts. Yesterday, what we have learned, something about the lines of longitudes, latitudes, map projections, and couple of questions we have done about Southeast Asia and the Central Asia. To some extent, we have covered West Asia or the Middle East. We know that this world is Eurocentric. The European people, when they look towards the east, they divide the entire land into three parts: the Near East, Middle East, and the Far East. We people fall under Far East, and West Asia falls under the Middle East. Now, today, let's focus on 3 to 4 more concepts. This is second workshop on the mapwork. You can see Africa, Sudan, South Sudan, the Eastern African seaboard, and we know that this entire part, this one also, is having coastline along with Indian Ocean. And we are having an equation: 38 is equal to 13 plus 11 plus 5 plus 5 plus East Timor plus Australia plus France and plus UK. Now, UK is not having much business in Indian Ocean since it has already forfeited British Indian Ocean territory to Mauritius. Officially, it is forfeited, and de facto, they will take some time to leave Indian Ocean, the British people. But Diego Garcia, that is on lease, will remain there with USA at least till 2036 if 99 years lease is not signed with Mauritius. Then we'll be having 37 countries if UK leaves this part. Now, 13 are African countries. This is Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique, Republic of South Africa, Madagascar, Comoros, Seychelles, and Mauritius. 13 countries of Africa, including the island countries also, make the coastline along with the Indian Ocean. So this way we can see which one of the following countries does not hold coastline with Indian Ocean. Tanzania, okay. Sudan, yes. Eritrea, yes. Ethiopia, no. This is a landlocked country. So things can be asked like this. Now, this is Africa political, this is Africa physical, and one can see the Great Rift Valley here, the Great Rift Valley here. And this continent is going to break into parts over the period of time. Okay, now this is the very first aspect that we must understand. Let's come to the second one. You can see the desert part, the land part, the tropical rainforest, and you can see the surrounding oceans also there. One can see the mid-Atlantic ridge, the Walvis Ridge, and absence of continental shelf along with Africa. Now this one is Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, Indian Ocean, Mozambique Channel, Gulf of Guinea, Atlantic Ocean, Atlantic Ocean South. This one is the Gibraltar Strait. This one is Suez Canal. And this is the most important one, the Strait of Dardanelles, Marmara, and Bosporus Strait. Strait, Strait, the narrow passage of water connecting two water bodies and separating two land masses. This is a strait, Bab el-Mandeb. This is a strait, Mozambique Channel. This is a strait, Gibraltar Strait. That's Sicily. This is Strait of Messina, Messina. So this way we are having plenty of states with us. That is Strait of Hormuz that we have drawn, Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. Now let's move to the next one. The landlocked countries of Africa, can you count more than 14? Let's try these countries with no coastline. Mali is there, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Central African Republic, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho, East Eswatini. So this way we can count the countries there, which are the landlocked countries. The countries having coastline with Mediterranean Sea, the countries having coastline with Atlantic Ocean, with Indian Ocean, with Red Sea. Now see how many countries are having coastline with Red Sea. Egypt of Africa, Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea, Djibouti. Now if someone says Kenya is sharing the coastline with Red Sea, no. Libya, no. Egypt, yes. Saudi Arabia of West Asia, yes. Jordan, yes. Israel, yes. Yemen, yes. Oman, no. So this way, plenty of questions can be asked. Now let's move ahead a little bit. Let's name the water bodies surrounding the continent of Africa. The Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, Gulf of Aden, Indian Ocean, Mozambique Channel, Atlantic Ocean South, Atlantic Ocean North, Gulf of Guinea, Gibraltar Strait, Mediterranean Sea. Gulf of Suez and Suez Canal. If we go with a little bit of sophistication, let's see more. Now here you can have a glimpse of new distortions which we can see into the lithospheric plate of Africa, internal one. That is the Great Rift Valley. And the Great Rift Valley is the first stage of Wilson cycle, plate tectonic theory. And you can see here the dormant volcanoes and the active volcanoes also there. Now, plate is segregating and it will divide into two parts. The moment this rift valley will come at sea level, water will enter into it and the new ocean will be formed. That is Afar Ocean, AFAR. The sixth ocean will be there. Now, this way you can see the movement in terms of millimeters per year, how the plate is moving this way or that way. That's a great rift valley. And extension of this big fault between the Arabian plate and the African plate running through Red Sea, and it is extending through the Gulf of Aqaba to the Dead Sea to the River Jordan. So this way we can learn a lot about the maps. This is workshop number 2. If in reality we like to see how this Rift Valley looks like, that's there. A close-up, that's there. That's the Rift Valley. At places, this is kilometers apart. See here, a close-up, Rift Valley of Africa. We can see such rift valleys there on Iceland, one of the countries of Europe, where North American plate and Eurasian plate are drifting away from each other. Now here we are having, in this rift valley, so many of the lakes. A probable question can come. First, this is Lake Victoria, that's not the part of Rift Valley. Again, I will repeat, Lake Victoria is not the part of Great Rift Valley. Second, Albert, Edward, Kivu, Tanganyika and Malawi, these are the parts of Rift Valley. Right? You can see here Lake Kivu, that is along with Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo, where the war is going on. That M23 is fighting there. That is the militancy group of Rwandan Tutsis, very well supported by Rwanda. These kind of questions can come. This is Lake Victoria, and Lake Victoria is shared by Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. They will add another one which is not the part of it. Out of the 4, you will have to find out one odd one out. Easy? Let's more focus on Lake Victoria. So many of the facts which are associated with Victoria. First, it's not a part of Rift Valley. Second, its water is shared by 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania. Third, the equator passes through it. The equator passes through the Lake Victoria. Its waters are shared by 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. They write one more. They write Rwanda. And then they will ask which one is the odd one out. See, this is Lake Victoria, and how far is this Rwanda from it? Lake Victoria's waters are shared by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. This is Lake Kivu, that's there in the news these days. Let's move ahead. Now you can see this is Horn of Africa. It looks like the horn of a rhino. The countries which are the part of it, Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti and Eritrea. Whether this Sudan is a part of it? No. South Sudan, Kenya? No. These 4 countries. Probable question. That's West Africa, where we have the 5 coasts, which we'll see into the next slide. That is the Mediterranean countries of Africa and Central Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa, Horn of Africa, right? Now, here you can see the Western countries of Africa, the Western coastal countries of Africa, starting from Mauritania, right? Senegal, Gambia, within Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and then we have Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and this is Burkina Faso. Nigeria is landlocked, Mali is landlocked, Burkina Faso is landlocked, no coastline. This 6 number, Liberia is making grain coast. 7 number, Sierra Leone is making mountain coast. 5, that is Ivory Coast, is making the Ivory Coast. Cote d'Ivoire is making the Ivory Coast. Nigeria is making the Slave Coast. This Togo, Benin, Ghana, they are making the Gold Coast. 5 coasts we are having. Which way? Let's see. These are the coasts: Slave Coast, Gold Coast, Ivory Coast, Grain Coast, and Mountain Coast. Sierra Leone at 7 number is having the Mountain Coast. And then the grain, ivory, the gold, and the slave, the 5 coasts are there. Now, this is a beautiful aspect, a country within the country. The Gambia is within Senegal, that 6-mile arc, along with River Gambia. All right, let's move ahead. Another closer look: Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Senegal. A pattern must be there into the mind. Sao Tome and Principe and Equatorial Guinea is also there, Cameroon is also there. This is South Africa. See here, Eswatini and Lesotho, both are landlocked. Here you can see Senegal. Within a country, there is another country along with River Gambia. The countries within the countries, the perforated nations, Perforated, perforated nations. This is the broader division of Africa: the northern, the western, the central, the eastern, and the southern. Now, here you can see the geometric boundaries. We have the geometric boundaries. What are these geometric boundaries? Let's see. This is 129° east, 138° east, 141° east, 26 degrees south, and 29 degrees south. And this 141° goes there into the Papua New Guinea and Indonesia also. These are the geometric boundaries. The countries which were colonized have and uninhabited, still we have there the geometric boundaries. The boundaries are of 2 types. The natural boundaries, these can be rivers, deserts, swamps, and the man-made boundaries, anthropogenic boundaries, geometric boundaries. So those are the different ones superimposed. Now let's move ahead. This is your Australia. You can see the Great Dividing Range. Western Australia, Northern Territory, Southern Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and Tasmania. The Bass Strait separates mainland and Tasmania. Torres Strait, that separates Australia and Papua New Guinea. So this way, this is the Coral Sea, Tasman Sea, Timor Sea, Indian Ocean on this side, Great Australian Bight. Right? So this way, the questions can be asked there. Tropic of Capricorn passes through it. States are there, cities are there. Brisbane is the capital here. Darwin is the capital here. Sydney is the capital of New South Wales. Melbourne, Victoria, Adelaide, South Australia. Perth of Western Australia, and Hobart of Tasmania. So this way things can be asked there. Let's see more. Now here you can see the water bodies. The Coral Sea, Timor Sea, Indian Ocean, Great Australian Bight, Tasman Sea, the Coral Sea there. And this Great Barrier Reef, the coral formations, they are the part of the Coral Sea. This portion is moving northeastward, and resultantly a larger part of the land is coming up. The sea is turning out to be shallower, and the coral formations is a phenomena of the shallow seas. That's why this is the Coral Sea. Till this date, we are having hundreds of ships of the 18th, 19th, 20th century, which were stuck there on those coral formations. Still, we can see those ships are stuck into the shallow seas of Coral Sea there. Shallow waters of the Coral Sea. Let's move ahead a little bit. Another close-up. The Coral Sea, Tasman Sea, Bass Strait, Great Australian Bight, a larger indention of land with a loose grip on water. You can say a broader bay is a bight. And this is Indian Ocean, Timor Sea, Arafura Sea, Gulf of Carpentaria. And this is York Peninsula, YORK. And you can see the states there. The West Australia, the Northern Territory, the South Australia, that's the territory. Rest of the states, 6 states, 1 territory. And we are having a capital territory also there, that is the Canberra. See, Canberra is a landlocked, but it is connected. The land has been picked up there from the New South Wales. Corridors have been made to connect it there with the sea. Otherwise, this is the landlocked there. Now let's see more. Another close-up. You can see Papua New Guinea. The Torres Strait, Torres, Torres Strait. So you can say that Arafura Sea and the Coral Sea are united here, are joined, and you can also work out that Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean are joining here. Gulf of Carpentaria, the Cape York Peninsula, the Arnhem Land, the Timor Sea, Joseph Bonaparte Gulf. Map is beautiful map. So many views you can have. The Banda Sea over there, the Lesser Sunda Islands, the Greater Sunda Islands, the Indonesian islands, the Dutch Indies, right? The East Indies Islands, the Dutch Islands there. So this is the viewpoint of the Sunda Islands and the northern parts of Australia. Now here you can see the Bass Strait. People move from Hobart to Melbourne. These are the passages. Now, sometimes we have the boundaries between the two countries are marked so beautifully like this. This is the Ukraine and Poland border. And same way, here you can see Sweden and Norway's border. There are snow scooters and there's a huge line. You can see this is the fire line that has been developed between the two stretches of forest. On one side there is Sweden, on the other side there is Norway. Sometimes the boundaries, they are so peaceful. Let's see a few more examples. You can see a fire line here. See the fire line? On one side we have Canada, on the other side we are having USA. Right? And this is just for your point of view. This line of equator, the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, all these are the imaginary lines, lines of latitudes and longitudes. Which way we have to mark them? Sometimes we paint things like this and we write. In Madhya Pradesh, when I was just passing through, I found on one particular road, a yellow color line was there and board was written. And it was written over there, Tropic of Cancer passes through it. These are the imaginary lines. So here, the apparent movement of the sun stops. On 21st June, on Tropic of Cancer, we are having the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere and the longest night in the Southern Hemisphere. The solstices. Let's move ahead. Sometimes the borders are so peaceful. On one side we have the Portugal, on the other side we have the Spain. But this is Belgium and Netherlands border. On both ends you have the restaurant. Things can be so peaceful and things can be so troublesome like this India and Pakistan border. These days it's more troublesome. The way the armed forces are helping the farmers to go across the fence and to get their crops harvested quickly. Some, big moments are going to happen. And this kind of activity during the evening times, demonstrations take place on both ends. That's the J&K part and the Ladakh part. This is the illegally occupied part of India. This is illegally part of India, Aksai Chin, occupied by China. That's the Siachen Glacier. This is occupied by us. Sakshna Valley on the other side, it was, passed on to China in 1963 by Pakistan. So sometimes we have this line of control, line of actual control. And this is, we have Europe. So many questions are there. Where is Scandinavia? Where is Nordic countries, Fenno-Scandinavian, Iberian Peninsula, Mediterranean region, British Isles, Balkan nations, the world of steppes? There are hundreds of questions that we people are having, which we are supposed to answer. Let's answer all these questions one by one. See here, this is the map of Europe. All these countries are the Baltic nations. All these countries are the Baltic nations. All these countries are the Baltic nations. Sweden, yes. Finland, yes. Russia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, right? This is the Kaliningrad of Russia. Poland, Germany, Denmark. All these countries are the Baltic nations. These are the North Sea nations. Norway, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, France, and UK. So this way, Mediterranean countries, Black Sea countries, Caspian Sea countries, the question can be asked. Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. These are the Scandinavian countries. Add Finland, Fenno-Scandinavian countries. Add Iceland, Nordic countries. So this way, if you are going to encircle it like this, British Isles, if you're going to do it like this, United Kingdom, this is complete Ireland. So this way we are having plenty of questions that can be easily answered there. Now this portion is former Yugoslavia, and it has been divided into Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, right? And Serbia. This is collected the Serbia. Montenegro and Macedonia. This is Kosovo. It is yet not the country. This is the total parts. Both are included into Serbia. Serbia has not recognized yet Kosovo. So many of the other countries. Now see here. What are the 5 conditions to be a country? People with common interest. International relations. That area must be practicing international relations. It must have effective and legitimate government. It must have sovereign borders, and it's recognized by the United Nations organization. Kosovo is not fulfilling all the conditions. That's why it's yet not a country. Let's see again, Serbia. Now that Vodina part is clubbed into Serbia. Earlier it was shown in the 2 parts. Serbia, Macedonia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia and Slovenia. These are the independent countries. Kosovo yet not is an independent country. These are the 7 parts of former Yugoslavia. Now here you can see again the same picture. Still it is in same color. Several times we have found that Djokovic, the tennis player, and showing solidarity as a national of Serbia by considering Kosovo as an integral part of Serbia. He passes on statements because it belongs to, this is an issue of his country. Now this is former USSR that was having 15 countries, and we had made a formula for that. What was that formula for the 15 countries? This is M great bulk. This is Armenia, Moldova, Georgia, Russia, Estonia, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Belarus, Uzbekistan, Ukraine, Latvia, Lithuania, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. And if we know the capitals, that's better, right? Let's move ahead. Now, this is former USSR. If you're having some idea about the water bodies, this Okhotsk Sea, Bering Sea, right, Arctic Ocean, it's having so many of the subparts. The East Siberian Sea, the Laptev Sea, the Kara Sea, the Norwegian Sea. Then things will be, you can say, more convenient for us. Lake Balkhash entirely lies in Kazakhstan. Lake Baikal completely lies in Russia. Now let's come to the last exercise. Can we identify these countries? Yes, why not? Let's see the things. This is the Russia, right? And we have Kazakhstan. We have this Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan. right? This is Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus. This is Kaliningrad. That's part of Russia. Ukraine, and this is Moldova. Moldova. This is Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia that has no coastline. Azerbaijan has with Caspian Sea. Georgia is having with Black Sea. So this way, all the countries can be identified, which disintegrated in 1991. This is 1922 to 1991 former USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So this was your workshop number 2. We have to reach number 9. Then we'll start the map work of India. Again, for India, we are having the 9 days work. Total 18 classes. You will be comfortable with your map work from the UPSC and the PCS point of view. That's all. Thank you.